Well, hi there. It's the beginning of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. Jerry and Debbie and you. And we had a fantastic show yesterday. Have you had to put down a beloved pet? We have had so much response overnight, voicemails, emails, text messages, social media comments that we, of course, yesterday made the decision to do a part 2 on this. So, Debbie, here we go. It's going to be another, I think, very, very beautiful program in many ways.
Oh, we learned so much yesterday. And we came together and learned a little bit about the Take Two family and who's in their homes by way of dogs and cats and other horses. All sorts of God's creatures that are just so beautiful and enhance our lives. So just a big shout out to Kim and Mary and Patty and Donovan and wow, so many. Maureen, please, if you were on the line yesterday, call back and just, all you got to say to Ryan is, Ryan, I was holding yesterday. They ran out of time and Ryan knows exactly what to do. He's going to bump you up to the front of the line. Okay, so please call back. If you wanted to call in today, this is the perfect time because this is part 2. This is the last part of this wonderful discussion that we will tackle today together. And it's about your pet. When is the right time to say goodbye to your pet, and what is the kind and merciful thing to do? 833-288-3986. Please call in quickly. We want to try to get to everybody, and we've got emails, text messages, phone messages, all sorts of comments that we're going to try to get to as well.
That's right. So if you have had to put down a beloved pet, or maybe you're facing that decision, as Debbie said right now, we don't have necessarily the answers. Only you and your veterinarian and, your family can determine if it's the right time or not. But, we grow so attached to our pets, and I think that's a beautiful thing. They are definitely gifts from God. And unfortunately, there comes that time in most of their lives. Some of them die otherwise, but others just get old and sick and ill and painful and infirm. And it's got to be really, really tough. So if you've had to go through that experience, dial in right now at 833-288-3986.
Yesterday, we were talking about, maybe consulting your priest or somebody at the church that you trust, a couple vets that can really, have, your best interests and what works for you. The grieving process, when is the right time? Morally, ethically, is it okay to put your pet down that's in a terrible pain and agony and distress, all sorts of things. And let's talk about it because it really is an important subject because most of us do encounter pets, or we have them in our homes, and we do grow close to them. Our children do as well, and they become part of the family. So, and you're gonna see that, you're gonna hear that in just a moment with this wonderful phone comment we got through EWTN from Sarah from Tallahassee, Florida, talking about her just beautiful cat that she's really struggling. Well, when's the right time, right, Jerry?
That's right. If you're trying to dial in, still a couple of phone lines open. Grab one of those, 833-288-3986. Our producer, Michael Birchfield, is right on top of things, and he has that voicemail that came in last night. Here it is.
Hi, my name is Sarah Paramore from Tallahassee, Florida. I happen to tune in tonight, and my cat Sadie, who is 16, has lost lots of weight. Her blood work's fine, but she's not eating very much. My white cat with one blue eye and one green eye, and I love her dearly. I'm just wondering how to know when the time is right, like when she's, just how to know really in my heart. It's tough. And I want to thank you guys so much for what you do, and it's just by chance I tuned in. Anyway, hope you all are well. Bye-bye.
Beautiful phone call, and I got a similar email, Debbie, from someone I've known for 25, 30 years in Portland, Oregon. If I get a chance, we'll read her email. But she said the same thing that Sarah did. She says, I just happened to be listening tonight. Mm-hmm. And she says, I could not believe the timing. They just had to put their dog down within the last few days. So God has his timing, and in his providence, he it's almost like the Holy Spirit puts topics on the show calendar that the people need to hear.
Absolutely. And we're also receiving wonderful pictures. You guys are sending us pictures and saying we want you to see our wonderful dogs and cats, and we love that. We love that because we become part of your family too, and we hope we are. You're part of our family, the Take Two family. And you're right. The Holy Spirit, the timing is perfect. Hey, last year there was a lot of loss, okay? A lot of loss with the pandemic, right? And we're still in it for 2021. And these things are going to come up in our lives. And, it's really hard. Like Sarah said, when is the right time? When do you know? Because you don't want to let go. That one last goodbye. I mean, it's really tough. Please call in, share with us how you helped. And I know maybe if we have some vets, I know you might be busy right now, but maybe if you're a veterinarian right now, you could call in, take a quick break and let us know if there's a proper thing that you go through, a procedure, or you walk with pet owners on how they make these decisions, these very hard decisions. 833-288-3986. That's the number to call. We have a couple open phone lines. If you were holding yesterday, please call back. Ryan will put you at the head of the line.
We heard from Chad via the website, take2show.com. Recently, my family had to put down a 14-year-old lab, and I woke up last night thinking about how the dog would jump in my lap alone. My hound, who I raised and trained, is now 16, has lost her zeal since then, too. So I'll probably be putting her down in the next 2 months due to incontinence. My method of coping is to focus on how the dogs lived, and am grateful for how I am stronger and a more gentle man on account of my caring for the animals. I've had many dogs, and they continually teach me to be attentive to any person around me. P.S. My hound was a fantastic attack dog who was super lovable unless I barked the command. Unless you were a car on a highway. She hit a car on the highway once 3 years old and never forgave it. So thank you, Chad, for weighing in on the topic today.
And I'm sending you, Jerry, a few emails that actually got picked up in our spam filter. So I'm going to send them over to you. And Debbie weighed in with a very beautiful story about what went on in her home with her pets and others as well. So they're coming in very fast. You guys are sending us a very lengthy stories, so it's hard for us to condense them for the show, but we are reading them. Please know that, and we find it so special that you would take us into your hearts, and we love that. That's what Take Two is all about. Let's do this together. Have another great discussion on how we treat our pets on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. 833-288-3986.
Tomorrow morning on the Sunrise Morning Show.
We'll check in with Jeannie Mancini of the March for Life to run down their schedule of events as we mark together a day of prayer and peaceful demonstration for the sanctity of life. We'll also preview the Sunday Mass readings with Father Jonathan Duncan and Father Hezekiah Carnazzo of the Institute of Catholic Culture, plus news, weather, sports, and a whole lot more.
The Sunrise Morning Show, tomorrow at 6 a.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Living the Beatitudes with Father Bjorn.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Saint Josemaria Escriva says that we are called to light up the pathways of this earth by being sowers of peace and joy. This comes from being aware that we are sons and daughters of God. On the road of life, though, we find dangers, but God walks with us every step of our life, pouring out the gifts of His Holy Spirit upon us. Our Lady is our companion, like GPS in our car, connected to the cloud and bringing the latest updates to help us navigate our journey and get out of traffic on the way to the eternal kingdom. We don't want to get into family fights on our way to God's vacation destination, but we should be these sowers of peace and joy. We shouldn't accept substitutes, accept only the authentic identity of being His children, His sons and daughters. Let's grow in happiness and bring peace to those around us. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God.
For more about the Beatitudes, visit EWTNRC.com.
This is your show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie and you. And we have a lot of you who are going to weigh in on today's topic. Have you had to put down a beloved pet? This is part 2 from yesterday. So much response yesterday, an incredible response overnight. So we will get to your calls. Mike, Sue, Serena, Thomas, and the others who are Ryan is screening your calls right now. Jeff Burson, social media, and Michael Birchfield is our producer. I want to first draw your attention to a very, very important resource and very helpful resource from EWTN Religious Catalog. It's A Saint Goes Marching On. It's the story of Danny Abramowitz. You may remember him. He was an NFL football player in the late 60s and early 70s, the toast of New Orleans. But his Catholic faith faded into the background. He felt alone, helpless against the temptations and expectations of fame. And then one day he cried out a simple prayer. He said, "Lord, please help me." And this book is about the answer to that prayer. Danny Abramowitz shares his story and his spiritual fitness workout, a way to build up the muscles of faith to go to spiritual battle in a hostile world. So especially for athletically inclined people, but this would be a great resource for anyone. Order at EWTNRC.com. You get free standard shipping in the continental United States of online orders $75 or more. Again, that's EWTNRC.com. The book is A Saint Goes Marching On.
Wow, that sounds really good.
Sounds
Did you see
really
some
cool.
of these pictures? Did you see these wonderful lab pictures of Duncan is the name of the dog? Thank you so much for sending them in and the story that is behind how you got the dog. And I love these pictures. This is awesome. You can send pictures to us at take2@ewtn.com. Now, just keep in mind, we're getting, it's a great situation to be part of. We are getting an abundance of emails, comments, text messages on social media, on Facebook, and we read everything. Jerry and I, we read it together, sometimes separately, but we read everything, okay? We're at a point now, after 5.5 years, we probably are not going to be able to respond to everything, simply because we would need like 10 of us. But it's we love reading everything. So if you really want a response, put it at the bottom of your email saying, I really would like a response to this, if it's a question or something like that. Also, let us know what part of the country and the world you're calling from and what station you listen to in your area. We'd love to know that as well. There's 2 open phone lines, Jerry. So another big shout out to Patty and Mary and Kim and Donovan and Maureen. Please call back, and you'll go to the front of the line.
Well, you mentioned letting us know what station and part of the country you live in. Debbie and I are very, very close to the people at Sacred Heart Radio in Seattle, and we want to give a shout out to them. They're a longtime and valued member of the EWTN radio family, celebrating 20 years on the air this year. Congratulations, Sacred Heart Radio. Special thanks to Ron Belter and his team. They have a great team there. Debbie and I still host their on-air share-a-thons. It began with one station in Seattle, and now they're heard on 10 AM and FM stations in Washington State and Alaska, but they reach into Oregon and Idaho as well. So, again, a special congratulations to Sacred Heart Radio for 20 years of great Catholic radio. And Debbie, I know you share in the enthusiasm for their great accomplishment.
Absolutely. I gave you 2 thumbs up, Jerry, as you were congratulating them. 20 years. You guys are awesome. We love Sacred Heart Radio. Thank you for all that you do and serving the community. It's so huge. You guys are growing, and that's awesome. And we love being part of your station. Okay, there's a couple open phone lines. Please call in if you'd like to talk about your pet or somebody else that you know, or maybe a friend who lost a pet recently, and you're wondering how to speak to them. Maybe if you're a vet or you work in that industry, you could maybe share with us what are some of the the process that folks go through. Is there a support group? I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe things pop up like that we need to know about. 833-288-3986. That's the number to call. We're going to Sue in Syracuse, New York. First time caller listening on the EWTN app. I love Syracuse because that's where my husband was born. Hi, Sue. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. Yeah.
What do you have to share with us today?
Well, I'm calling because I just actually faced this situation myself this week where we had to put down our cat who was 17. And so like most cats, he hated the carrier. He hated the car ride. he was very uncomfortable in the vet's office. And I just wanted to say that I was able to find a vet who could come to my home and euthanize my cat in my home. And it was such a more peaceful experience for my cat and also for myself and my husband for what is already a really difficult situation. So it is a little more expensive, but I would recommend to people, if that's an option in their area, that it is really worthwhile to do that.
Well, yeah, Sue, we're sorry that you had to go through this. It's a fact of animal life, unfortunately, in many cases. But it's beautiful. I did not know that vets could come to private homes and do this. And the first thing I thought of is, it mirrors, humans, human beings, because so many times we have loved ones who are ill and infirm and near death, and we want them to be home. We want them to be in their familiar environment, around loved ones, and in their home setting. So I think this is fantastic, and I'm going to certainly remember this. Hopefully not for a long time with Duke.
Yeah, I did hear about this, Sue, and in my area that's available as well. I'm curious a couple things. First of all, your cat's name. What was your cat's name?
His name was Cole.
Cole. And so you said it was more peaceful. Sometimes people say that when there's a passing, okay, of any death, whether it's an animal or even a human being, in the home can be a peaceful surroundings. And you said it was peaceful. But then there's people that say, well, I don't want to remember that in my home. So tell us a little bit more about this. How was it peaceful? Does it still feel that way for you now? Was it just a couple days later? Because, being in your home, you're going to be walking past places that the event took place.
So our home has been enthroned to the Sacred Heart, and I was able to hold Cole on my lap. This is going to make me cry in front of our altar of enthronement and just pet him. And he just peacefully relaxed and went to sleep in my arms. And I would say, no, it was so much more peaceful, and it gave me so much peace to know that I hadn't put him through such a traumatizing experience of having to get to the vet's office and be in the vet's office at the time of his passing, that he could be comfortable in our home in my lap with Jesus present. And it was just so much better, so much better.
Mm-hmm. Well, if I may say this, I can picture you, because I have a Sacred Heart image in my home as well. I can picture, you sitting there with your beautiful cat Cole and petting him. But you know what else? The image is so beautiful. I mean, it's God's creatures, God's creation, right? And it's like you're almost presenting him back, saying, thank you for giving us, now I'm going to cry, so thanks for giving us the time of happiness, and our Lord is so good to us. He wants us to be happy here. This life can be very difficult. And like I've said it, I think a half a dozen times yesterday and today, our pets enhance our lives. They make them, better and happier. And so it's almost a way, by you saying goodbye to Cole, it's almost a way of you presenting a thank you to God for what he created.
I hadn't thought of that, but I have certainly thanked God many times for Cole in my life. And, it was a really difficult decision. So for a week, I was just asking for him. I was actually asking him to take him without my having to make that decision. But once I knew it was the right decision, it was so comforting to me to be there with him in front of the Sacred Heart.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Sue, thanks for getting us started on our calls today with a very beautiful story. We appreciate that, and blessings to you. And maybe you'll get another call someday. Maybe God will allow that in your life. But thank you for calling Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We appreciate that. And we're going to go from Syracuse to Columbus, Ohio. St. Gabriel Radio is where Mike is listening, and a first-time caller as well. Hi, Mike. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Jerry and Deborah. I really appreciate this. Your topic is so spot on, because everyone's kind of stuck inside, so even closer to our pets. But one of the callers yesterday indicated that she had a dog they had to put down because it was very aggressive. Well, I currently have a dog, a Jack Russell, by the name of Mr. Watson, and he has attached himself to me very strongly. He's got the heart of a lion and a butt of a titmouse. So now he won't let my wife anywhere around me when we're both in the house. There are triggers, food or the bedroom or something like that. So what we did, and this has helped tremendously, we went to our vet and we put him on Prozac. So once a day, he gets his happy pill, we call it, and takes the edge off of him. He isn't quite so stressed or strained about it. And he actually allows my wife to sit around and be around and not be threatened by him. It's very strange. We've always had big dogs, labs and golden retrievers, and after 38 years of marriage and raising 3 kids and with big dogs, this little dog was a major shift, but it's working. Think Prozac from your vets. It's really very helpful.
I'm curious, Mike. I've heard this said, I don't know if it's true or not, but in a family or a married couple, the first one who like holds the dog or engages the dog, or the dog kind of is in that person's presence, that's the one they more or less attach themselves to. I don't know, again, the veracity of that, but do you get any sense that was that the case with you and your wife?
Well, it was actually my daughter came home from college, and we didn't have any dogs. We just lost our last one. And so she went out with my wife and got the Jack Russell, Mr. Watson, brought him home. And he was really friendly to everyone up until I had a very minor heart attack. And when I came home, he just really psyched in on me and was right next to me all the time. And, I'm 100% now. But ever since that time, he's just been very, very attached to me, and here's the weird part: if I'm not home or around, he's absolutely fine with everybody. Doesn't matter. But if I'm home, he just kind of patrols.
Right. It sounds like Mr. Watson has a real protective sense because of the fact that you did go through, a health situation. Is that because they can sense that, right? I've heard that. I know my dog does that. He did that with my dad when my dad was diagnosed with cancer. She picked up on it right away. Are you sensing that, Mike? That it has to do with maybe your heart?
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very true. It's a he. He is very, very tuned into me that way. It's strange. I mean, the bigger dogs we had, they were friendly. They were kind of, they looked big and mean, but big dogs tend to be pussycats, and little dogs tend to have a little puppy and inferiority. But
right.
I think he definitely tuned into that, and he just maintained it. So there was times when we thought, we're just going to get rid of him. This is crazy, but we're dog lovers, and we just couldn't do that. It's like
so you give him Prozac instead, just to make him chill.
Yeah, I'm a special needs instructor, and I thought to myself, would I get rid of a child because they got problems? No. Same thing with our dog. So put a little Prozac on them, take them for walks, take some of the energy out of them, and watch for his triggers. We found that to be very helpful.
Beautiful.
Well, sounds like it works.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Mike. Appreciate that very much. Blessings on your upcoming weekend in Columbus, Ohio. I mention that now because, just real quick reminder, tomorrow is the March for Life in Washington, D.C., and EWTN will have coverage of that, live coverage on TV and radio. So Take Two with Jerry and Debbie is preempted tomorrow. So be sure and tune in for the coverage of the March for Life. It's becoming, the cause of life becoming so much more important by the day.
Absolutely, and we should all be involved as Catholic Christians. Mike, I put you in our prayer book that your heart stays strong, okay? Is that okay?
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, yes.
Absolutely. Beautiful. I just want to know something real quick before we let you go. Do you actually call him Mr. Watson every time? I mean, you don't shorten it, like just call him I don't know, Watts or Mr.?
No, he's got his own personality, and so to just call him Watson just seems wrong. So we call him Watson. Watson, and he responds to Mr. Watson.
Oh, that is hilarious. I am not calling you Mr. Usher. I'm just not doing it, Jerry. Oh, and I love it, Mike. Thanks for blessing our day. That is beautiful. And thanks for your call. And stay well, stay healthy.
We just heard from Jackie via email, take2@EWTN.com. Hi, friends. When I was married, we had a farm and had many dogs, cats, a mini donkey, and horses. Putting a horse down is traumatic, especially because of their size. The burial process is so intense. For our dogs and cats, we had a granite headstone made for each. The cemetery at the farm now has 24 headstones. My, it never gets easier. I now have 2 Boston Terriers and a kitty. My heart breaks thinking about when it's their time. But the love they give outweighs the pain of their loss. God bless you all who have to go through this. And that's Jackie. Beautiful.
I have to ask like a crazy question. I want to ask this. So I told Marty that if we cremate Gracie when she finally goes, can you be buried with your cremated dog? I'm curious.
Oh,
if there's any
look, we're out of
listening.
time. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe we can look it up. I can't imagine why not. Maybe somebody out there knows. It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie and you.
Jerry Usher, Dr. Ray Guarendi, Father Benedict Rochelle. You'll hear the leading Catholic voices on the largest Catholic media network in the world. This is the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
And this is an EWTN Bookmark Brief. I'm Doug Keck. Just finished speaking with Michael Lichens about a couple of books having to do with Father Amorth, My Battle Against Satan, and The Devil is Afraid of Me. Michael, these are books about a famous exorcist. Why would the average person be interested in these books?
I think they'd be interested because, unfortunately, as Father Amorth notes in a couple of his books, a lot of priests and bishops don't really consider talking about the devil and the influences, or even saying the devil is real, to be a thing that they need to do. These are books that can tell us what it is an exorcist does, what it is that they're doing, but more importantly, how it is that we can be assured that we're safe from any spiritual attacks from the devil.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Michael Lichens. 2 books, Father Amorth, My Battle Against Satan, also The Devil is Afraid of Me. Both interesting reads available through our EWTN Religious Catalog. And this has been an EWTN Bookmark Brief.
He is only one of 4 popes honored as the Great.
Matthew Bunsen and the Doctors of the Church.
St. Leo I was pope at a time when Roman civilization was being overrun by barbarian armies. He stood as a light in the darkness and even saved the city of Rome from destruction by Attila and the Huns. Leo died in 461.
For more about the Doctors of the Church, visit doctorsofthechurch.com.
Hi, this is Cy Kellett. Later today on Catholic Answers Live, we've got 2 hours of open forum with Jimmy Aiken. Call with any question you've got. Catholic Answers Live, 6 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio. Now, back to Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie.
About having to put our pets down today on Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie. This is part 2. We had a really wonderful discussion yesterday that I think was very helpful, and it was peaceful. It gave us some hope and some practical things that we can maybe put into play when this comes about. But I was asking the question if you could be buried with your cremated the remains of your pet, and the word came back from the Take 2 family. They believe the answer is no. Catholic cemeteries will not allow it, and I am going to be buried in a Catholic cemetery, so it's not allowed. So Gracie, you're on your own.
By the way, this topic was inspired by a listener named Donna, and I bring that up simply because we get a lot of our topics from you, the Take 2 family. If you ever have a show topic suggestion, feel free to email us at take2@EWTN.com. Back to your calls. We're going to go to Montgomery Village, Maryland. Serena, listening on Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Serena. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We had a rodent pet one time. And he got sick, and our vet gave us some advice as to when to put him down. This is in response to a question earlier in the show, and I thought it was really helpful. He said, make a list right now of all the things your pet likes to do, And then as those things go away, go ahead and, then you'll know that it's time. Which kind of leads me to a second question. I'm a convert, and I didn't really understand the Catholic stance on not, like if our pets get to be, not enjoying life anymore or are in a lot of pain, we're willing to give them a quiet death. But we don't do that for people. And what I kind of understand now, I think more, is that people may have things in our suffering. We may have things to finish up with God or with other people, whereas our pets don't, that God made them different. Even though I say of my dog who has passed that he is chasing squirrels in heaven, I don't know exactly where my dog is. So anyway, I wondered if you, I hope that that list of the things that your pet likes to do helps somebody, because it is a very hard decision of when you let them go. But it was helpful for me to know that their minds work and their souls work a little different than ours do, maybe. And then also, if what you can tell me about the Catholic stance on the pro-life stance of no euthanasia for people.
Oh, for people, yeah. Well, absolutely. I mean,
yes, because I used to think, well, it's the argument is that it's merciful for pets to let them go when they're in a lot of pain, but we are opposed to that. Even though there's always more you can do for pain for humans, but Catholics, as Catholics, we don't believe. We believe in letting people live their life out to its natural end, and not to give them any. Like a lethal dose of a painkiller or something.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can offer a couple thoughts, Debbie.
And then I will, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the main difference here, Serena, of course, is, humans have immortal souls and animals do not. So, yeah, once an animal dies or is put down, they basically, other than their body that's sitting right there in front of you or on your lap, as a previous caller said, they cease to exist. So that basically is the heart of the issue, the conversation about euthanasia. And euthanasia really, it amounts to killing. A lot of people think it's compassion. A lot of people think, in fact, a lot of people now look at human euthanasia as almost putting someone out of their misery, compassion and empathy and all of this. But like you said, God has a plan for everybody and for every single second of our lives. We've got a plan and a purpose, and that might be for a lot of people offering their suffering for the redemption of other souls. So there really isn't. Yeah, in themselves, yeah. Go ahead, Deb.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt, but for themselves, because a lot of people feel like if people are suffering right at the very end, and they're not coherent and they can't express things, the merciful thing to do is to put them out of their misery. But Jerry's so right. God has a plan, and the church has it right. We support life from the womb to the tomb because there's a reason we're here. We're here for a reason, hopefully for our ultimate salvation. And so every moment we're here has meaning and purpose, every moment. So if we interject, if we come in and play God, if you will, we are breaking up that plan that God may want for that soul or the souls that have encountered. I'm sorry, Jerry, but I did a lot of work in hospice and stuff, and so it's so important. People think that just because a person, has fallen, they're unconscious or something like that. They're like, well, they're not doing anything anymore. They're not productive. You should put them out of their misery. That's not true. Things are still happening, and people are still reacting to that person. And so it's for God works with everyone in community, in relationships. So sometimes that suffering soul that's lying there for days or months can be ultimately helping a soul that is caring for them. It's very interesting how God works, and it's very intricate. And when we put ourselves in the middle of that, we actually stop that miraculous plan. What do you think, Serena? I'm sorry. I'm real passionate about this because my mom is 89, and she sleeps 22 hours of the day. And everybody has said to me, well, she really has no life. Well, she does. My mother does have life, and it's not right to even start to say that, because that's just their definition of what they think life is. What do you think, Serena?
No, this is very interesting. Thank you. And as I say, I'm a convert, so I was not brought up with these ideas. And I also worked in hospice, and my father has dementia. And one of the ministries I do when I'm in the non-era of COVID is to take communion to people who have dementia. And it's very, very touching, because though they cannot tell me what their name is or what day of the week is, they know when I hold up the host and say the body of Christ, they will say amen. They'll stick their tongue out. They'll cross them. Something is going on there. And it's just, you can see why people who are not Catholics will analogize euthanizing animals and euthanizing people, but it's not, thank you for clarifying that. And that my dog is not chasing squirrels in heaven. He is gone. I guess he does not have an immortal soul, but how it is, it helps you to think that, we have those memories of our dear pets. Right. But
real quickly, Serena, thank you for bringing the Eucharist to these wonderful seniors, especially those with dementia. My mother has advanced dementia. You're absolutely spot on. And by her responding and her focusing, my mother will focus on the Eucharist. Will focus immediately. People are watching that. People are taking that in. That is all a Christian witness. So it all does have incredible meaning, and it has profound effects on people's souls when they witness it. And so thank you for doing what you're doing. And the Catholic Church has it right. They have it right. People want to argue with the Catholic Church, say it's too rigid, they're too much in one direction. Not true. The Catholic Church, I believe, is spot on. So thank you, Serena. What do you think?
Thanks, Serena. Yeah, thanks for the call. Appreciate that. Well, yeah, I agree. It's very easy to understand the thought process of someone who wants to put, grandpa or grandma or a loved one out of their pain or out of their misery. You've lost loved ones, Debbie. I think back to my sister, whose anniversary of her death is going to be February 7th. And, she came back to God during her final days and received, confession and the sacrament, last rites. And so, in situations like that, what would happen if, prematurely before that, the decision was made, well, you know what, she just really needs to be put out of her misery without taking into consideration, but where is she going to go? What happens to someone, their soul after they die? We believe in the immortal soul, again, as I said, and we believe it's going to go to heaven or to hell. And we want every soul to have the best possible chance to go to heaven.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Thank you, Serena. Again, we appreciate your call. Call again. Martin is up next, waiting so patiently. Almost. Martin, let me see. Martin, you get our Virtual Patience Award in Houston, Texas, Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Martin. Welcome.
Thank you, guys. This is a great subject because I had 3 cats I raised from baby kittens before they opened their eyes. And cats are prone to renal failure. So mine, I knew when they started losing weight, I would watch, and when I would take them to the vet, I would ask him, are they suffering? And then there'd be times, he would tell me when they would start suffering. So when I had to put them down, the one thing that I always did is he let me hold them, because I wanted them to smell me when they left this world, because they smelled me when they were kittens. And, the lady previous, y'all hit the nail on the head about as much as I loved them. I asked Father Pacwa about this, about our animals having, do they go to heaven? And he said, no, because they don't have a soul. And, when it comes to people, I took care of my elderly mama for 20 years. When it came to decisions, I have ADHD. I would lay late at night on our sofa praying to God and say, Lord, with my ADHD, I want to make sure I'm making the right decision. And my Siamese cat would jump on my chest, and he would stretch his little paw out and put his paw on my face. And he was my best friend. But I knew, God, like you said, God had a plan. That's why our Lord dragged that cross up to Golgotha, to show us an example that no matter what you go through in this world, can you hang on a cross? And that, to me, is so powerful.
It is. And Martin, that's a beautiful story that you shared about you wanted you to be the last thing your cats smelled and felt and experienced, because that was the first thing that they did when they were kittens. That's absolutely beautiful. And yeah, the question, Debbie, often comes up, do pets go to heaven? And Father Packle was right. Of course, they do not. I remember when I was hosting Catholic Answers Live, and we would do the kids open forum shows for the young kids and teens. And that question came up a lot. And the answer that was usually given was, you're dealing with kids here. So they wanted, here's how most of the apologists put it. If our pets are needed for us to be happy in heaven, they will be there. And of course, we know God himself is enough when we get to heaven. But this was a gentle way of telling the kids, if that's needed for us to be happy in heaven, then they will be. But we know that is not the case.
I think that was a beautiful answer, especially for children. My late uncle, priest, Father Sylvester Lavolsi, he used to say all the time, because he loved Francesco and Claire. He had his dogs, and he would say, God knows what you loved, and God will continue to let you feel that. And he would leave it at that. So God knows what you loved here on earth, and he'll let you experience that to a greater degree. So I take comfort in that. Martin, thank you so much for sharing today. Bless your soul. You're just a beautiful individual, and we absolutely love when you call in and when you share, because you always have something really, really good to say, and we need to hear that. So thank you.
Mentioned this a few minutes ago, but I'll give you another reminder because it's that important. EWTN will bring you live and complete coverage of the most important pro-life event of the year. This is tomorrow in Washington, D.C., the March for Life. Starting with a Life Issues special, we will be their voice, talking about the next generation of pro-life warriors. So that starts tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time on EWTN Radio, then live coverage of the March for Life at 11:30 Eastern on EWTN Radio and television.
We're all going to be tuned in, and we should be. Okay, let's try to move really quickly and get to everybody. Linda in Northville, Michigan, Ave Maria Radio. Linda, thanks for waiting. Welcome.
Hi, how you guys doing today?
Doing well,
thanks.
Right there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just going to offer some comfort, hopefully, to somebody, and this is one thing that really helped me when I had to put our family lab down. And somebody told me to offer everything up to St. Francis and know that you would find comfort because he takes care of all the animals, because he's the patron saint of them. So just a vision, I had a cat that I had to put down years earlier, and I never knew that about the St. Francis. Nobody ever mentioned that. And the difference of the grieving process between the two were like night and day. I missed my dog so much, but yet I knew that she was finding comfort with St. Francis, because God assigns people to what they're good at, right? So he was good at animals. So I just would hope that maybe somebody could find comfort in their time of need, because it really, really helped me.
Mm-hmm. Linda, I love that image, because I could just picture St. Francis walking with all these pets around him, and here comes another one going, okay, here comes another one, right? I love that image. Yeah. That is beautiful. Thank you for those comforting words. Yeah.
You're welcome. And if I could just ask a quick favor, my dad's birthday is 92 tomorrow, and they just called in hospice. So this will surely be his last. But if anybody would offer up a prayer, maybe St. Joseph is the patron saint of happy deaths, and that's how I've been praying for him to be, lifted up by the angels. But I don't want to take up much time. You have a lot more people you need to talk to. So.
But Linda, his first name?
Tom.
Tom. Okay, the Take Two family's on it, Linda.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Absolutely.
All right. God bless you, Linda. We got a comment on take2show.com last evening from another Linda. Says, I'm so grateful for the topic of your show on Wednesday. I have been struggling with the decision of putting down my beautiful friend of 17 years. It's breaking my heart to have to let him go, but I know he's in pain. I listened to every word said yesterday and so much wanted to call in. It says she will be calling today. We've had busy phone lines, so she hasn't been able to get through yet. But she says, because my dear little boy is going to be crossing the Rainbow Bridge. She says, my appointment is later in the day. And I've got to say, this is by far one of the worst days of my life. Mm-hmm. I'm calling or writing so that you, Debbie, and your listeners will say prayers for Chance and me. Her appointment is at 5:30 today. It doesn't say which time zone, but please think of us at that time. That's from Linda on the show website.
Okay, I put that down in the book. We will be praying, Linda. Absolutely. We'll be with you in spirit and lifting you up in prayer going through this. It's tough. It's really hard. And we need to be there for one another. Patty is up next in Michigan, Sirius XM 130. Hi, Patty. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much. I had called yesterday, and thank you guys for taking my call. Mm-hmm. Debbie, you and I have a lot in common. I also I have an older dog right now, but just I do want to offer prayers. I do, first of all, Linda, to your, that's very hard, and also praying for Tom. I also work with hospice, and I had a whole other thing I was going to say, but I know we don't have a lot of time. But what I do want to offer to everybody out there, that back to the conversation about, because it is really important about those that are passing on that are human, is that our loved ones. I do sit with people. It's a volunteer at one of our big hospitals. It's called NODA, No One Dies Alone. And I cannot explain the miracles that happen in the last days and moments. And there's a book written by a hospice nurse. It's called Glimpses of Heaven. And there's actually a Glimpses of Heaven, too, by Trudy Nelson. She's an RN. And it's just 1 and 2 pages of final moments with people. But it will help you know so many miracles happen in those very final moments. And you're right. God's got it all under control. And some people need those moments to figure out in their own mind, because your soul is still going on. It's still in there, even though physically we're not working right. But to our furry loved people that love our furry friends, I also want to offer comfort to everybody else out there, all of your listeners. There is no love like loving our animals and having to let them go. Oftentimes I've read even your own family is not with you as often as your pets, and they're not as in tune with your emotions. And I mean, you're with them every day. I bawled when I put Nicky down, my Nicholas. He was precious. He was 1 in a million, a mutt that I had adopted as a tiny little guy. And when I had to put him down, I said, I can't do this again. And my dad passed 2 years earlier, and I cried harder putting Nicholas down than my poor dad that had cancer, and I was with him in his dying moment. That was a beautiful moment, but I bawled I couldn't get another dog for 5 years. But I do believe that, here's something, Luke 12:6, are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 pennies, yet not one of them is forgotten by God. Mm-hmm. So know that God loves his animals that he created, and he created them for us. And just take comfort. And I will constantly ask favor to God that we do see them in heaven. I know that there's probably a lot of very devout Catholics that may agree with that. And I love what you said, Jerry, about what the Father said to the kids, because I do believe that's true. I either don't want to remember them in heaven, or they have to be there for it to be heaven. So I get that. But I just also want to offer, I now have, 12 years ago, I did adopt, I actually bought a little guy. I actually took him home to babysit. He was 2 pounds at the time, and he's all of 4.2 pounds now. His name is Peyton, and he's a little black, tiny toy poodle, I think Maltese mix. He is the love of my life. I didn't think I could love equally as much as I love my Nicholas. But this dog has been with me through everything. And earlier this year, he had a bout with pancreatitis, because I take care of an elderly man, and he loves to feed him little scraps. And I'm like, no, my dad said you're going to kill him with kindness. But so he did. He had a bout, and I remember he stayed with the vet 2 days on antibiotics and IVs, and I prayed. I went down to actually the Venerable Father Solanus Casey, as you probably know. He performed miracles. He's at our St. Bonaventure in Detroit. I literally went down to his tomb to pray for this little guy. I prayed to St. Francis. I literally put holy water on him. And honestly, he healed completely. Even the vet, she said, let's see if he has fight in him. Like, basically, he's really, really sick. And he came back. So,
Patty, real quick for the sake of time, I just wanted to comment on one thing that you said, and you alluded to in a way that made me think of this, and that is when we think of our pets, we have that connection with them. You said we're around them even more than we are our own family, and we have that attachment because that pet is ours. It is, individual, unique to us. Other people have their pets, and we may love other people's pets and pet them and feed them and play with them on all of that. But Debbie, there's nothing like, our own pet that is, ours exclusively, a gift from God, and we become attached. They become attached to us. So I'm so glad that Patty was able to get another dog. That's beautiful.
Absolutely, Patty. I'm an emotional mess, so I can't really comment, but I took in everything that you said and can relate to so much of it. And you can just hear your heart, how much you are appreciative of God's creations. Absolutely beautiful.
Mary called yesterday, and we have about 90 seconds. Mary, glad you got back through today in Arvada, Colorado. I hope I said that right.
Yeah,
hi, Mary.
It's Arvada. Thank you
Arvada.
for taking my call. Yesterday, someone said about putting a biting dog down. Well, my nephew was 3 years old, giving ice cream to the dog, and then changed his mind, and the dog tore away his face. And he's 40 years old, and he can smile now. But when dogs bite, that's a bad thing. And my nephew is so full of hate from that injury. I had a dog, golden retriever named Riley, warlike and hard one to train. And 2 days before my 37-year-old son died by suicide, Riley made our son laugh. And that's probably the last memory I have with my dog, Riley. And Riley died actually a year to the day that my son died on April 10th, a year later. And I didn't think I could open my heart to another dog. And within a month, I called my trainer, and she said, "Why don't you get an English Golden? They're mellow." And so her name was Sasha, and I renamed her Save, which you spell like Sav.
Yeah.
And she's
Mary,
opened my heart.
forgive me for jumping in, Mary. We're going to hear the closing music here. If we can would you mind sharing your son's first name with us? We have a book of people that we pray for. Are you comfortable giving us his first name?
John and Joseph.
John and
my
Joseph.
son John and Joseph.
Yeah, wow. So sorry about your nephew's experience there. We're going to pray for him, definitely, and your son as well. We're so very, very sorry for your loss, Mary. And thank you for calling. You called yesterday, and glad you got back in today. Deb?
Absolutely. And Juanita and Lindsay and Kevin, please email us. We'd love to hear your stories at take2@ewtn.com. Please do not forget, please tune in tomorrow for the March for Life. It's the first one virtual, and we should all be listening to it and take part. Right, Jerry?
That's right. Until we are with you again on Monday, have a beautiful and blessed weekend. St. Joseph, pray for us.